Record. Excellent. There we go. So, Louanne, thank you very much for joining today, and thank you for taking the time. I'm sure it is absolutely crazy busy in your practice at the moment.
Absolutely. But today's our half day, so
Oh,
yeah.
good. Well, thanks for spending some of your half day with us.
Okay.
So, Louanne, just to remind anybody who's watching this, and others, and yourself too, and myself, is that the idea is that I'm chatting to a few very influential and very famous practice managers around the country and people that have worked in practices, about 6, 7, or 8 of them over the next couple of weeks, just to kind of get a sense or a flavor of what's going on in their practice. Maybe they've solved things that over the last year that other practices are struggling with, and vice versa. And really, none of this that we're talking about today, none of this is financial advice for practices. We're not putting ourselves out there as advisors. This is personal opinions. They're your personal opinion. They're mine. And that's the disclaimer out of the way. So with that, can you tell us a bit about yourself, Louanne? Where is your practice based? What kind of practice is it? How long have you been working there?
Okay, so I work for Dr. Michelle McCauley in Acorn Medical Practice, which is located in Ballinagh in County Cavan. She's a single-handed GP. We have 2 nurses and we have 3 administration, mostly part-time. And we actually relocated. We're a year now in our new premises.
Wow.
And we've actually moved from one small town to another, I would say expanding town. Ballinagh now is more and more businesses are coming to the area, so it's quite busy. Kinnerleck, my belief is there's always been a GP there for many years, but unfortunately, Dr. McCauley, she couldn't continue on in Kinnerleck because the business was up. The actual building was up for sale, and she had the choice to move on to another place. So anyway, she made the choice of Ballinagh, which is 15 minutes from the previous town. So I joined them over a year and a half. So I'd only joined them.
You were just in the door, and Michelle was like, "Right, Louanne, you need to move the entire practice."
Yeah. So I was like, okay. Right. Okay. I had previously worked in an urban-based GP practice for nearly 20 years.
Oh, and where was that based, Louanne? Whereabouts was that?
That was based in Cavan town.
Okay.
It's quite a large surgery, so it was, and very busy. I have to say, extremely busy. So this opportunity came up. It was a big task, a big challenge for me was to actually move out of my comforts, going into a practice, didn't know anybody, didn't know any of the staff or the patients or anything. So, and then on top of that, relocating and then going as a practice manager too. So it was a huge challenge.
And fair play to you. In your previous role, were you kind of acting as practice manager as well, or was the PM role a new role that you moved into with Michelle?
When I first started in my previous surgery, I was in as a junior admin because I never worked in the medical sector at all. And then there was a stage then I was acting practice manager. So then the family life came into place, and then I had to start doing part-time. So I just couldn't do practice management with such young kids at the time. So I went back to being administrator, covering reception, covering the back. Yeah. So then when this job came, Michelle was looking for a practice manager with years of experience. So I said I'd take it on. And haven't looked back since.
Brilliant. So you've seen, I suppose you've kind of worked in all the different aspects of practice then, from front reception to administration, now to PM as well. So you've seen it all. So, which is great. So Louanne, can I ask you, I was going to ask you what were your biggest challenges over the last 12 months that you've kind of solved for. I'm going to just guess that it's probably related to the move. Were you involved in selecting the site and all of that as well, or was the site selected and then you just kind of had to make it happen?
No, Michelle had an idea that she wanted to kind of get closer, perhaps maybe to home, somewhere that was kind of more convenient for everybody. she had mentioned the town, and yeah, I totally agreed with her that it was a very busy, expanding town, and it would be ideal for practice surgery.
Brilliant.
There was a lot of work. That's the only both legal side, and then contacting vendors, changing your name, like even going to the stationery, Socrates. There was so much of that of informing people where we're going and emails, and it was it took the full year to get all that set up. Then you changing the bank details. Then you had social welfare. It was. I don't think there's no guideline out there that you can
I
just.
was just going to say that. I was just going to say there's not like a book you could take off the shelf going, here's how you move a practice from A to B. So can I ask you, Louanne? So it sounds like there was kind of technical things you had to solve. There was practical stuff about the building. There was notification stuff about patients. There's administrative stuff as well. I suppose, like, and we could talk for about 3 hours about all the stuff we had to do. I guess for practice managers out there or GPs that are maybe considering doing a move or in the middle of it at the moment, is there any kind of big learnings that you took from it where you were like, Jesus, if I knew that 12 months ago, I would have done that one slightly differently? Or maybe it's something where you're like, God, I didn't realize that this one would be so tricky to get done. So is there anything that kind of jumps out to you over that period of time that you that took you by surprise, or you were like, geez, that was much more work than I thought it'd be?
Yeah, it's all the different areas, departments in the HSE that you have to notify of you moving or changing your name. Like you have to notify immunization department.
Yeah.
You have to notify PCRS. You have to notify primary care. It's if you could just have the list of all the departments of the HSC and just email just one email to, and they would just notify. But and if you're late with notifying them of your move, it's going to delay payments.
So they'll hold payments if you've moved location and they haven't been told the time. And what's the window period for that like, Louanne? Is it 2-3 months or?
It's I think it's 3 months, but it's getting the reply then that they've acknowledged this. You're waiting for that. And then just making sure that I would follow up on your emails either by ringing them or emailing them again. I just wouldn't assume that they've read it, to be honest, because there was a few that I was like, no, I definitely changed that. And they were like, we never got the email, and you have to go searching for it. So my suggestion would be get a folder, and even use your invoices, all your vendors there. Get a HSE folder of all your dealings with anybody in HSE. Have that all in a folder now, because you're going to forget somebody.
So what you're saying then is, and it makes complete sense, is that maybe 3 or 6 months before a move, because let's be honest, everybody knows a few months before they're going to move. So 6 months before a move, start collecting up all the invoices, start making a list of all the places that you get paid from, so that PCRS attorney, whatever, have that list ready so that when you are ready to move and you've picked a location, you've got a list then of all the people that you're going to write off to. And you think it's worth following up with a phone call for each of those as well to make sure.
Especially when it's related to payments. They are definitely really important that you really, really keep on top of communicating with them. Then the next one would be consultants and hospitals, because there will be a delay in receiving some post if you don't set up with your local post office that all your post will be delivered to your new address. Otherwise, it's going to keep going to your old address. Now, there is a payment involved in that. You have a choice how long you want to pay for it. We had to do it for at least a good 6 months.
Oh, really?
To forward it on to us, because there was very important documentations. So what I would advise is, when you even start now, if you have incoming post from hospitals, write down the consultant and email them that you are relocating. Here is our new address. Start doing that.
So, Louanne, they might have the old address from the initial referral. They're going to write back to the original, or they might have you on the books anyway. So you know,
Yeah.
you can potentially add it onto the referral saying our new address is going to be this, or to write out. That's a really good idea, actually.
Yeah, I'm still doing it. And like
Okay.
we're 14 months and I am still like replying back, this is our new address.
Hopefully Michelle won't decide that 12 months from now she's moving somewhere else. Hopefully this is it now.
Not a chance.
Um, in terms of, because I think because I think this is useful for anybody who's considered doing it. In terms of notifying patients, then did you like mass email, mass text? Did you put up posters? Like, was there anything that worked really well, or anything that you thought that was a waste of time?
Well, to be honest, we try to verbally say it as much as possible to patients. Then what we actually did, we sent text messages. So
Okay.
what that involved, and I think you can get it set up where you have to get consent for SMS from your
Yeah.
patients. So it was a matter of we could send messages to alert them that we are moving on such a date to such a place. Now, that's not going to get everybody because not everybody has a mobile. So we then had to get in and write out to the patients as well. You have to inform a patient legally that you are moving. So whatever means it takes, you
Yeah.
have to inform them. So you do.
And Louanne, how did you? This might sound like a stupid question, right? But like, how did you decide like who a patient was? And by that I mean, do you know when you look back on your Socrates or HBM or Health One or whatever it
Yeah.
might be? Do you know when you look back and you might have like 10,000 patients in the database or in the list, but maybe did you like say, right, well, anybody who's come in the last 3 years will count
5
them as-
years.
5 years? Okay. So
Yeah,
anybody
yeah, because there are some people out there, especially private patients, they are longer. They're not every year. They might come in for 2-3 years. That's the difference. So we wrote out to them, and we sent SMS to them once we had ticked off that they would receive messages from us. That took a lot of work. That was time consuming, was contacting patients. Then we put it in the local newspaper as well.
Oh, did you? Oh, you took out a page ad of the newspaper.
Yeah, just a little notification as well. So we did that, to let people know. Because you have to think of the generation, the ages, as well.
For sure. And did you have much grief to go on? I'm just curious. I just thought of it there when you said the newspaper. Like, did you have much people saying, like, not happy with the move? Or have most people, I'm presuming you'll always get a couple of patients that aren't happy, but I suppose overall are people quite happy with the move? Or how's it going down?
The area that the surgery was originally in, it's a very small rural village, and the surgery was in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And you had people that were unable to drive, so it was ideal for them. So we were sympathetic, and we were like, we can't apologize enough, but unfortunately, this is where we're going. Yeah. So thankfully, we did provide them with information about local bus links that was available. So, but thankfully, I think it wasn't that long afterwards, a local bus link actually started going through the village, and then it was going by our surgery. So
it's something I never really thought of, is that actually moving like that, there are going to be people where, because you can't have a GP practice on everybody's doorstep. There's going to be a bit of people, but I suppose giving them enough heads up and enough notice to get alternative means.
Yeah, we totally understand. It didn't suit everybody to move. As time has gone by, we're there 14 months now, and yes, it definitely has reduced an awful lot. But at the start, it was hard because the frontline staff were, we were hearing it in the waiting room. We were hearing it, on the street, and why is she moving? And
they're getting notions heading up to the big city 15 minutes.
Yeah, and it was a different town, and but I have to say that that has really reduced now. There's no more in the last couple of months about movement. They actually seem quite happy with it now.
So Louanne, I can't believe the time is flying by so quickly. I could speak to you for hours about the move, and it sounds like it was worth it. It sounded like it was real baptism of fire. I presume I'd say the good part of this is though that you kind of got to put your own mark and your own setup in the new surgery. So although it was a lot of stress and hassle setting it up, you could kind of set it up the way that works for you, and you're there from the start. So kind of, you know what I mean? It kind of feels like,
Yeah, it was a clean slate. It really was going
yeah,
in. And the staff, getting to know the staff, getting to know the GP, getting to know the how I could actually improve the running of the surgery. Do you know, where was there, you know, can we get more income in? Can we, make it easier for patients to have access to making appointments? But you're constantly doing that. That will, you'll never fix it. You can only manage it,
Well,
So,
I just for the last minute or two, I just thought it'd be good because I'm sure there's a big long list of stuff that you're kind of, because there's so much challenges, and the practice manager role is kind of a new role in general practice over the last, like I don't think there was really PMs 15 or 20 years ago. It's a real evolving new role, and it's badly needed. But can I ask, is there anything that's particularly challenging for you at the moment that you're trying to solve or trying to manage in your practice in terms of, and it could be, planes or infrastructure, or like, is there anything that's kind of front of mind that you're challenged with at the moment? Maybe there isn't, but
no, do you know what it is? To keep up to date with how you can improve your surgery. Like, everybody knows that the STCs, you always think you could, have a missed out on something, and you always, the next month, where can I get some more payments? And it's, what, you're trying to educate yourself every day by reading on the internet, speaking to other practice managers, little tips. Like, we're in the middle of doing our website, and the idea of the website is to reduce the incoming calls,
yeah,
reduce the demands. It's to take the pressure of the staff, and by having a website, there are a generation that will use the website access down the road, maybe to appointments, but to repeat prescriptions and more information about the surgery. So in the middle of that takes a lot of work. That
sure,
takes an awful lot of work. So I advise anyone that's doing a website, have your information ready,
yeah,
because that will reduce the workload, hopefully, for us in, say, in a couple of months' time. So
yeah.
STCs is a major thing, and the CDM program.
Mm,
Educate yourself on that, because administration staff plus the health professionals, they need to communicate about CDM, because if you book in somebody that's not due their blood yet, that's going to mess it all up. So you
absolutely.
have to communicate so much with your staff in order, anything that will bring in money. Communication is key.
That's a brilliant point, and a great way to summarize it. What I'll do, Louanne, is because I think what you've hit on there is, like, so many PMs have to try and solve things for themselves, and
Mm-hmm.
practices have probably already done it quite. Like, for example, you with the Move, and other practices might have a really, really good practice website, and there's some amazing ones out there. So what I'll do at the end of this, when we put it up, I'll put a couple of links down to, for example, Rachel's GP Practice Ally, which
Yeah.
is brilliant, and Gillian Hughes's kind of practice manager stuff, because there is pockets of resources out there. And I bet there's PMs out there that aren't a member of a WhatsApp group with other PMs, or aren't a member of a forum, or
Loads.
they're probably
So
loads. And it's, what's funny is, like, GP practices aren't really in competition with each other, and I found that actually GPs are very helpful with other GPs, and PMs are very helpful with other PMs as well, if you ask them. Hopefully you found that as well.
Oh, absolutely. And as you mentioned, GP Practice Alley, I just said, I asked my Dr. Michelle, I said, if I could just have one thing, it would be registered with GP Practice Alley, because the resources are there for me. I can talk to other people. And then Michelle, even to this day, she was like, ask them on that group you're on, ask them about this, ask them about that. And to me, that's what PMs really need. It's that,
Community.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's huge. Communication definitely amongst practice managers is really is important now. So it is.
Well, Louanne, thank you so much for your time today. Hopefully
Okay.
this was been helpful to a few. I'll put a couple of links afterwards. My hope is to do 7 or 8 of these, and then who knows, maybe Rachel or GPPA might take them over afterwards. But you've been very generous with your time,
No
and Louanne,
bother.
I appreciate it. The best of luck with everything. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Sean. Thank you. Bye bye.